Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out 5 more licks from patterns 1 and 2 of the minor pentatonic scale that also use the blue note. So you could say they come from the blues scale, but as I suggested earlier, I think it's a better idea to think of it as the minor pentatonic with this extra spice that you can throw in there to give it a bit more of blues flavor kind of thing. So the 5 licks we're going to play, the first one is going to be this. Second one is this. Third one, lick number 4, and lick number 5. So let's get to a close-up and check out how to play them. Okay, lick number 1. Okay, so the very first part of this is kind of going up and down the scale, but it really works because of the little tag on the ends. So we've got the scale bit first of all. And we've got this really cool ending, very, very common little blues phrase, this. Okay, so we're starting on the root note with the 3rd finger, that's the 7th fret of the 4th string. We fold the finger over the 3rd finger, and we make sure that the note on the 4th string is now stopped, that the very tip of the 3rd finger is just kind of lifted up enough to stop the note. And then we go back to the root note, and we've got then 1st finger, 5th fret of the 3rd string doing a curl. Okay? Very, very common phrase this. It could be a lick actually just by itself. Okay, very, very common little phrase, and particularly tagging it onto the end of that blues scale, it's got a really nice feel to it. Okay, note the feel as well. It's a bit of a shuffle, so if I played it straight, but you could use that as well, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, but doing it with this definitely sounds a little bit cooler, okay? So just like any of you that have done the beginner's course, you know that chunk-a-chunk-a-chunk-a-chunk, that feel. It's that. So the picking for lick 1, I would recommend down, up, down, up, down, flick off, down, up, flick off, down, up, down, up. Okay, so we've added in a couple of flick offs there. So down, up, down, then onto string 2, up, down, flick off, then down, up, flick off, then down, up, down, up. To finish, and don't forget to mute after you've done that little curl. Okay, normally I do leave my little finger out, but often touching on the guitar, but often for demonstrating, I'm kind of keeping my hand curled up a bit more so you can see more clearly what it is that I'm doing. Lick number 2. Very, very cool, kind of a 60s vibe going on this one. So we're starting off with the 1st finger in the 8th fret of the 3rd string, and then we hammer 2nd finger down into the 9th fret. Okay, it's a little bit unusual there, starting on the blue note, but very, very cool in this particular lick. Then we play the 1st finger in the 8th fret of the 2nd string, hammer on the 3rd finger into the 10th fret. Then we're going to play the 8th fret on the thinner string, then the 11th fret with the little finger, back to the 8th fret, then the 10th fret with the 3rd finger, and then the 8th fret again with the 1st finger. Probably put a little bit of a curl on it. And then you can finish. You don't have to add this last note on, but I think it can kind of sound cool, which is the root note, the 3rd finger in the 10th fret of the 2nd string. Okay, so the count for this would normally start on the and after 4, although again, you don't have to, and you should definitely be exploring putting these on different parts of the bar. But to start off with, we'd have 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. But remember, again, you can repeat like the... You really muck around with these licks so much, it's great fun. So lick 2, because it's starting on an off beat, that is an and, I would recommend actually using an up pick there. So we'd have up, hammer, up, hammer, up, down, up, and down if you're going to add in that last note. So 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, up, down, up, down, up, hammer, up, down, up, down. Okay, lick number 3. Okay, now this one's going to have to use pick and fingers, and basically we're going to be playing this note on the 5th fret of the thinner string while we play up and down the blues scale. So we're going to play this bit, but we're going to leave our first finger doing a little bar so we can hold that note down. Last couple of notes we're just playing by themselves. So get that first finger in a little bar covering the thinnest 3 strings, then reach over so you're playing the 7th fret of the 4th string. Then you're going to be playing here the 5th fret of the 3rd string, then the 7th fret of the 3rd string with the 3rd finger, then little finger is going to play the 8th fret of the 3rd string. Sometimes I slide the 3rd finger. So the same notes, just slightly. Seems to feel cool to slide the 3rd finger up, but it's also a little bit tricky. So little finger there on the 8th fret, back to 3rd finger on the 7th fret, using the little mini bar again for the 5th fret, and then finishing just on 7, 5, 7 without that top note. You can, but other notes are going to likely to start ringing out. It doesn't sound so cool, so I think just finishing on single notes really kind of helps that lick work pretty good. But do feel free to experiment again, holding that top note down while you play other notes of the scale. Sounds pretty cool. You can get some pretty gnarly sounds. Okay, it's a very kind of a bit ZZ Top sounding as well at the moment. Very cool little lick, this one. So lick number 3 requires pick and finger. So the pick is going to play the bass notes using all down picks, and 2nd or 3rd finger, doesn't use whatever feels comfortable for you. I tend to use my 2nd finger, but it doesn't really matter. That's going to play the thinner string at the same time. Remember, those last few notes don't have the thinner string being played, but you could if you wanted to. Try and get the idea of that 2nd finger being able to play that thinner string while you're playing whatever. Okay, lick number 4. Very, very nice one, this one again. So we're starting off here with the first finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string, then little finger on the 10th fret, then the first finger going down the 7th fret, 3rd string, then we're doing 2nd finger in the 8th fret, the little chromatic linking part with the blues scale. We're going to play that note and then hammer on the 3rd finger into the 9th fret. So the very first part. We continue up the scale, so 8th fret on the 2nd string, 10th fret on the 2nd string again. Now 2nd finger is going to play the 9th fret on the 3rd string. Let's just get that first bar sorted out again. So 7, 10, 7, 8, 9, 8, 10, 9 on the 3rd string, then we skip over now to the thinner string, first finger on the 8th fret with a curl, then 10th fret on the 2nd string, 9th fret on the 3rd string, 8th fret on the 2nd string, finishing on the root, the 10th fret of the 2nd string. Very nice lick. Okay, lick number 4. Few different options here that might work, you know, it's kind of a little bit up to you, this one, but I would recommend a starting point being down, up, hammer, then up, down, up. So where you do that hammer on, you're actually going to make a down pick anyway, a down pick motion. Down, up, down, up, down motion even though you're doing a hammer on. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, hammer, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. That second bar, down with the curl, don't forget the mute. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, hammer, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. If you wanted to, you could definitely pick every note on that as well. So I'm just putting the hammer on because it kind of makes the lick feel nicer, but you know, it's more or less the same motion of the hand anyway. It's just whether you're going to pick that note on the 9th fret or not. Lick number 5. Okay, so this lick, the main thing that I want you to see is the way that as long as you don't involve strings 2 and 3 crossing over, very often you've got patterns that work the same between 2 strings. Like any lick that's just using strings 1 and 2 will also have a place to play on strings 3 and 4, and also on 5 and 6 as well. So it's kind of interesting, this lick. It's just really kind of going up and down a bit of the blues scale, starting on the root note. Okay, that's the note A, and that's how we remember that we're in the key of A, right? Then 8th fret, 10th fret, 11th fret, 10th fret, 8th fret, with a bit of a curl. Hope you're noticing that the note that we do the little curl on is the same all the time, right? Now, after that, we can also move it. It's exactly the same shape. Now actually we could also start it, same shape again, putting our 3rd finger on the root note. Now you could make up any other pattern you like. Okay, so have a bit of an experiment, not just with this lick, but see what other patterns that you can come out with that are using this little group. Okay, there's loads of fun to be had exploring that. Okay, lick number 5. Really just down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Not really anything to worry about there with the picking. So as usual, when you're learning licks, I would recommend that you take them one at a time and use them as much as you can over a backing track. Then start experimenting with them and seeing what other ways you can use the blue note in that kind of area. You know, take the lick as a foundation idea and see what way you can build it. How else can you incorporate that blue note? And like I said, I really recommend thinking of the blues scale as really the minor pentatonic with this extra note that you can add in if you choose, because very often I see students either using it or not, like it's an on or an off thing, and it's not like that. The idea is for you to learn that there's this other note that you can use when you feel like it, and then learning vocabulary that uses that note. Remember, it's all about vocabulary, learning licks and phrases that are using that sound much more than playing the scale up and down. None of us go to see great scale players. You know, last time I saw the world's best scale player playing at the Albert Hall was never. You know, it's not going to happen. You want to try and find phrases that communicate. And what you're going to find is as you learn more and more phrases, some of the licks or whatever you want to call them, some of them are going to kind of resonate with you and they're going to become the language that you like to use. And other ones you're just going to forget about. You'd have to force yourself to play them. You know, I'm a big fan of the guitar player, jazz guitar player called George Benson. And I've learned loads of his licks over the years and really tried to nail them and got them under my fingers, but they never come out when I'm soloing ever. They only happen if I really consciously force them to. So I've kind of given up on most of his licks. You know, don't recommend that you try and force them, but at the beginning you need to. At the beginning you need to consciously try and practice those licks and get them under your fingers and try and make them work, and then let some of the ones kind of go by the way that don't really resonate with you, because some of them you're going to feel like you're really doing it. You know, you'll find one of those little licks and you'll find that 5 minutes with the backing track passes super quick because you're just enjoying yourself so much. And that's really what they're the kind of licks that you want to be absorbing the most. You know, later on as you get better at guitar, you should be transcribing your own solos and your own licks. You know, I go through, listen to Jimi Hendrix or Stevie Ray or whoever it is that I happen to feel like listening to. And if I hear them play a lick that I really like the sound of, you know, I go and transcribe it, work out how to play it, work it into my playing. And if it's one that resonates, it'll stick around, and if it doesn't, it goes by the way. You know, that's kind of the journey that what you want to be aiming for. I'm just trying to, you know, by teaching you licks, I'm trying to give you some of the foundation words that'll help you understand the rest of the language. That's the point here, remember. So really important that you put these licks into practice, explore them, twist them inside out and backwards, and see what other vocabulary you can get out of them, because the more you do that, the more you're going to recognize other people using those similar words. It'll really help you transcribing as well. You know, it's a pretty big deal getting to grips with your basic licks, and it was a lot of fun learning the blues scale for the first time. So I hope you really enjoy these licks and using the blues scales, and I'll see you for plenty more very soon. You take care of yourselves. Bye bye.